Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Swedish Winter Showdown, brought to you by Leagues.gg and SQ1 Esports. And we're here into the pick ban phase for Invulnerables Esports on the blue side of the map versus Verax Esports on the red side. My name is Alada, I'm still your play-by-play commentator, and joining me still is Spoods, hopefully with a little bit of a better connection this time.
Yeah, we're right into picks and bans, and can I just say, what a bang of a first game we had. Sometimes you go into these sorts of games and you're like, probably just going to be one team stomping the other, but no, it was completely back and forth, and you didn't really know who was going to win until the very end. Hopefully we see that come through again for the side of Invulnerable Esports on the blue side, and Verax taking the red side. We are seeing the first bans come through. It is going to be Jace, Set, and Silas being taken away, so a very heavy focus on removing bruises from the side of Verax Esports. Meanwhile, it's going to be Nidalee, Draven, and the Shen. A very, how would you say, non-standard set of bans coming through from Verax, right? Probably some targeted ones. Probably just been, researching on the OPs.ggs. This guy plays Draven very well, gotta remove it, right? And it is probably, I think that's a lock-in. That is gonna be Evolution coming through early. So it is Invulnerables Esports already going in for an early game focus.
So now, I mean, the question is, do Verax Esports want to take away that Nami that people have been making work so well alongside that Lucian? This is the sort of thing that Invulnerables are now throwing down onto the table, and it doesn't look like Verax are going to go for it. Instead, they're going to have Misfortune and Kiana as their two lock-ins instead. A very lethal pairing to have picked up.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to see Kiana in the jungle, less so the Misfortune coming into the ADC. A point that I didn't really get to bring up is that I don't think MF ADC is really all that it's hyped up to be. Yeah, sure, you got the bullet time, you got really good zoning coming through from the Make It Rain. We saw that really well in the last game where it was capitalized on to zone away the enemy team, but that's really, I think, most of what she's good for, right? Unless you get her really hard a hit in the early game, it's very difficult to get things going. Meanwhile, on the other side, if we were talking about the early game, doesn't get much more early game than the Lee Sin locked in for Finri. Two early game champions already coming up. It's going to be the Amumu, now in the support position with that double charge on the bandage toss. Very good CC, very good focus around the bot lane once again that we're seeing coming through from Invulnerables.
Yeah, hasn't been necessarily finding a huge amount of success, the Amumu pick, in the world's play-in stage, rather infamously, but maybe here in the Swedish Winter Showdown, it's going to have a little bit more chance to shine. It's going to be up against Braum on the bottom side of the map. So, interestingly, Nami was available, and we're seeing the Amumu instead from Invulnerables Esports. So not going in that direction, that Lucian Nami, which has become such a thing lately, not going for that whatsoever. And we have both of our bot lanes already confirmed.
Yeah, what this says to me is that Verax is really going for a more supportive bot lane playstyle already. Picking up the Braum right now is really more of a, alright, if you're going to be very aggressive against us, we're just going to sit back and try to disengage. And Braum can do that very effectively alongside the MF, right? And a lot of soft and hard CC in this bot lane coming through from Verax already, but my eyes are still on Invulnerables because the initiative in the early game is still going to be on them. They take away the Kennen and the Zoe for the side of Verax. So it is going to be a focus onto the mid lane, I believe, for both these teams. Mid lane Kennen quite good right now, I think. And it is just going to be, well, what's our final ban? Let's see.
Yeah, 15 seconds now as we wait for Invulnerables to confirm who they are going to be banning out in this one. The Zoe LeBlanc by Verax, the Kennen by Invulnerables. And they're really leaving it to the wire for this one, making sure they get the decision as correct as they can, and it's just going to be Syndra. So that was kind of like the most default ban that could have been given what we've seen from all the other bans here. That makes the most like sense in sort of context with, coming after a LeBlanc, a Zoe ban, say the Syndra ban. It's sort of all part and parcel of the same sort of idea. So those are now all of the champions that will be banned from this game. Verax about to pick up their fourth champion here. And what are we expecting? A mid laner here, or is that going to be saved for last pick? We're going to see the Camille, so it does look like they want to make sure that mid laner will be saved for the very final pick.
Yeah, Verax picking up the Camille now is going to be a very strong side laner to have. I'm having a bit of an issue seeing how this composition really comes together, right? When we're seeing the Kiana, we're seeing the Misfortune, the Braum, it points to me that you really want to go for a few team fights, which means you really need a high damage threat now for their mid laner. And with Kennen and Syndra banned away, it sort of limits their options quite a bit, right? Obviously, they will probably be going for a bit more of a 1-4 playstyle with the Camille in the side lane. Meanwhile, on the side of Invulnerables, it's going to be the Yone. Obviously, when we see the LeBlanc and the Zoe banned away, it means that, Verax, they're trying to limit the amount of pressure that Invulnerable's mid laner can really exert on the map. Yone is a very good champion for this, and it's going to be the Talia rather to round out this draft. So it is probably going to be Talia mid and Yone in the top lane to answer the Camille. Now this means that Verax gets counterpick for the mid lane. Let's see what they go for.
Are they going to go for Maokai? Something tells me not, and we'll see. Rise a little bit more likely. We'll wait until they've fully locked it in to talk about it. But yeah, it is going to be the Rise locked in for Vossen, and somewhere in the back of my mind, something's telling me Vossen. I've seen Vossen playing Rise successfully before. Something in the back of my mind is telling me that yes, Vossen with Rise, that makes sense. So yeah, I can't tell you exactly when I've seen it, but I know that I've seen it, and I know that it was good.
Okay, I'll take your word on that. I've not seen Vossen play Rise. That's my detriment, I guess. But it does still, speak to me that perhaps this Verax roster, right, might still not have the best time in team fights. Sure, the Rise being in there, right, unlocks the 1-3-1 potential. You can now send Camille and the Rise into side lanes, or perhaps play the 1-4 with either of those champions in that 4 stack. But overall, if they want to go for the 1-3-1, the 1-4, or a teamfight composition, this MF is where I'm really looking for to get ahead in the early game. And against the likes of Lucian, Lee Sin, and Amumu, it's going to be very difficult, or rather, it could be very easy if, the side of Invulnerables basically ins into them, which hopefully that is not the case. A very good Lucian player is a really, really big deal and really big issue for the side of Verax to have to deal with in the mid game if they are able to get this champion ahead early.
So we are then going to see that it's going to be the Talia mid and the Yone top with Lee Sin in the jungle. I could have put Talia in the jungle, could have put Lee Sin in the lane, but actually they're going to be seeing Loftician on that pick. And when I've seen Invulnerables in the past, admittedly it's been a relatively different lineup, but seeing Loftician play in the past, Loftician has been the focal point of various teams in the Swedish scene in the past. So I'm hoping to see another big performance from Loftician in this game. But on that Talia, it's not necessarily... I don't want to say it's not a playmaking champion because you can make plays, but it doesn't feel like the sort of champion that really takes over a game to me.
It is more difficult for Talia to take over the game, yeah. I think Talia is more of a facilitator, where she's able to, with her Weaver's Wall, go all over the place in the map, just show up where she's not supposed to be showing up, block people from their turrets, and really change the course of some plays. So a really good Talia can really take over the game, just not in the way that you might be used to seeing. I think, with this Talia, it really rounds out this composition very well. I'm a big fan of this Invulnerables team composition. If they play it well, it's going to be very difficult for what Verax has drafted to really answer into them, just because of how mobile and how fluid the game plan can be for Invulnerables, right? They can play top, they can play mid, and they can play in the bot lane. I think they can play especially in the bot lane. So once again, we said in the first game, it's going to be a bot lane focus. I think it's going to be the same thing in this game as well. I want to see action in the bot lane, and with the Lucian and Mumu, that's probably what we're going to be seeing.
So does success for Invulnerables then in this early game, does that look like Finry just spending a lot of time bot side? Does it look like Loftician roaming down at level 6 to try and get a 4-man tower dive onto Verax? Is that what we should be expecting to see from Invulnerables in the early stage of this game? Or is there something else towards that bot lane focus?
That's a really good question, right? Because I think this bot lane is... self-sustainable, right? At this point, if you just leave the Lucian Amumu in the bot lane, I think if their players are confident enough, and if they're picking Lucian Amumu, I think they are pretty damn confident, right? To just go into the enemy laner and say, okay, you want to play us? We'll outplay you every single time, right? They are able to just look for leads themselves, and anything that the rest of their team is able to bring down towards their bot lane is something that I'm going to be a big fan of, right? Lee Sin doesn't necessarily have to play towards their bot lane in the early game, definitely can go top. This Yone is a very big threat once he hits the mid game, as well as, maybe just send the Lee Sin towards the mid lane, unlock this Talia, and then, when the Talia hits level 6, go towards bot lane as a 4-man unit. We've seen set plays like these work out very well in the past, right? Even in the World Championship, you send 4 people in towards the bot lane around the 6th level mark, and it just works wonders for the rest of the day. So that's where I'm going to be looking towards.
All right, as we should now be getting into the game any moment now, as spectator delay is coming to an end. Quickly, I want to just give a little bit of justice over to Verax here. You mentioned already that you don't really like their team comp relative to Invulnerables. You're definitely preferring Invulnerables going into this one. What do Verax need to do to convince you that they have drafted a good team comp here?
Get Misfortune a hit and or get Camille a hit, right? Because if this Misfortune gets a hit, she deals damage. I said I don't like the pick. That's solely because at this level of play, you're not really expecting the Misfortune to get that far ahead. Second point, I think if this Camille gets a hit, or even if the Rise gets a hit, right? What this roster wants to do to me is play the 1-4 or the 1-3-1. So if they have a very solid 1, it means that the 4 or the 3 stack can really go elsewhere on the map and look for opportunities to unlock themselves even further. So it's either going to be Misfortune getting a hit, or ideally it's going to be Misfortune and either of the solo laners getting a hit for me. That will sort of signal to me that Verax have done their due diligence, have done their homework, and know how to play this composition very well.
Absolutely. So we'll see then, as we can now head on over to Summoner's Rift for the second time today. Our second game of the day here in the Swedish Winter Showdown, brought to you by Leagues GG and SQ1 Esports. We have Verax on the red side of the map, and here we have on the blue side Invulnerables Esports, who will be just going out in another 5-point defense by the look of things. So nothing too spicy on this at this early stage of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Technical difficulty sorted out. I am pumped to get into a proper game of League of Legends where I can see what's happening. Let's go. We are seeing the early ward come down in the river for the side of the blue team here. Invulnerables getting a bit of early vision answered from the side of Verax. So I think both junglers just going back, picking up the sweeper. No, the Lee Sin obviously not going for the sweeper, but it is picked up for the side of Mumu. Very even start so far, nothing to really speak of.
Minions have spawned.
Yeah, not a whole lot going on at this early stage. No one wanting to make any misstep, no one wanting to push any boundaries at the beginning of this one. Both junglers will be starting on the top side of the map by the look of things, and Luna and Zimba, they're going to be looking to try and maybe pull some kind of cheese on the bot side here. With the Amumu level 1, does have the inherent CC. Is this something that you like to see from the bot lane here, or would you rather see them faking the leash in some way?
So, from my perspective, right, they've put that ward there very early, which means to me that they are looking for a set play. They just back off of it just a little bit, but I'm not sure if level 1 is the way you want to go. Braum with the Winter's Bite can definitely, be very good at disengaging in the early game. So, I think what I want to see from Loner and the Amumu here is, a quick rush to level 2 and then an attempt at an engage, which I think is very well doable right now. You can see them pushing up the lane a little bit. Meanwhile, there's trades going on the rest of the map.
Yeah, so not a whole lot going on right now. Both junglers clearing out. It looks like it's going to be a full clear for Finri, whereas Vlaren is going to be actually taking a rather more expedited route down to the bottom side. We're going to be seeing then an early gank perhaps from the Qiyana. Is that the sort of thing you can do on that bit?
With the Qiyana, with an early gank, it's most certainly possible if you get a really good Winter's Bite in and are able to layer that with the Qiyana stun. More often than not, what I think is going on here is that Qiyana's just looking to dissuade the Lee Sin, right, from looking for any early game level 2, level 3 ganks, which is definitely something Lee Sin is really known for doing. Overall, the cover right now not entirely needed. Like you said, the Lee Sin going for the full clear. He is going to be on the clear advantage at this point, so he might have a little bit of an earlier time, perhaps go towards that top lane or their mid lane while the Qiyana, that's the champion, is covering around bot side.
Actually, interestingly enough, Lauren then actually cleared out that bottom side of the jungle and then headed back top side again. So maybe a slightly less efficient route from the Verax jungler there, as Finri will be spotted out on a ward, heading down to try and pick up this first Scuttle Crab of the game.
Yeah, overall, I think the tempos are more or less matched up, right? We are seeing a bit of action towards the mid lane, a good chunk coming through. Vossen now on half HP, but
Ooh, the flash already forced there from Vossen, paying a lot of respect to the potential damage that could have come out of Loftition there on that Talia.
yeah, the Talia with a W, definitely a what you want to see to really differentiate good players from great players, right? If you're able to land that CC along with the, what is it, Work Ground is her E? You know, if you're able to get a combo off, that is a devastating amount of damage, especially if this Talia is given the goal that she needs to carry.
So, a nice early advantage being accrued in that middle lane by Loftition, who still has the teleport up and available, and Vossen has already used that, as well as the flash to get back to the lane. CS remaining relatively even in that middle lane, relatively even top side, relatively even bot side as well. No real gold advantage is being accrued at this stage. A tentative beginning to the game for both of these teams, and if things stay relatively calm and cautious as they are right now, and they aren't right now because here comes Valorant looking for the first gank of the game, trying to get onto Loftition, who goes very, very low, but Zimba is there to try and keep alive and now get the CC to force the return kill onto Valorant. Unfortunately, it was Zimba that picked up that kill. Now here comes Finri looking to try and continue the fight, but they do not want to take that one. It's 3v2 in the area, so it's just 1-for-1 here in the early stages.
Yeah, a good level 3, you know, you hit level 3, both supports go up to mid lane. I'm not entirely sure what the game plan was there, but it certainly paid off for the side of Verax. They pick up first blood, I believe, onto the Talia, and they're still going for more.
Peter very low, but not taken down, and now Finri is going to fall to the tower. And that is a bit of a tilter for the Lee Sin.
Yeah, that's going to be Lee Sin drone coming in from the Lee Sin. Under turret, stunned up, taken down. It's not entirely what you want to see. Verax in a very comfortable position right now, especially with the pressure that now this alleviates from their bot side, right? The Lucian, hell, he may even die here. He does die.
Alright,
and it's just going to be a very good position from Verax.
Yeah, 2 kills now in the early stages for Vlaren on that Kiana. Haven't even reached level 6, which is such a huge power spike on that champion in terms of your agency. Getting 2 kills before that point, that's always going to feel great on that champion, surely.
Yeah, surely. I mean, this is not what we talked about in Champ Select, because I thought it was just not very plausible. I guess, you know, Kiana getting two early kills, the Rise getting 1 early kill, and Discord stream frozen once again. Nemaima back, as yeah, this is just a very comfortable position for Verax, right? Like you said, even at the point you brought up, right, where if things just go even, who comes out on top? If things go even, Verax come out on top, right? Because if this Lucian doesn't get a hit, if this Lee Sin doesn't get a hit, right, it's just going to be 2 losing players for the side of the blue team right here. So it's going to be very difficult for them to play now that the Lee Sin and the Lucian are both 1 death into this game. Verax, again, very comfortable right here. They can just play this out.
Yeah, Invulnerables Esports going to be disappointed with the opening phase of this game, considering they got so much of that early game power baked into their composition. So it's up to them to try and find a way to still make use of that and to avoid just falling behind the longer the game goes on. At the moment, Luna and Zimba still with the priority on this bot side. They're in control of where the wave is. They're in control of where the enemy bot lane is as well. So Finri just looking to clear out in the jungle to try and keep their head above water. Still a level down on Valorant at the moment.
Yeah, Kiana's popping up towards top lane. They want to try to do something against Chaos Senpai here. It looks like it might just about happen. Ooh,
wall dive not quite landing. Chaos Senpai going back in with the Fate Seal. That is a regrettable decision indeed. And Valorant picks up their 3rd kill of the game.
The only thing that sealing was, you know, Chaos Senpai's fate, basically, right? I'm not entirely sure why you're going back in. You were out. You disengaged. You didn't have to go back in. It's a 2v1. And simple math, 2 is bigger than 1. So going in there, giving over the kill. Sure, you had a turret there, but it doesn't matter when you are ulting yourself out of turret range.
Yeah, unfortunate there for Chaos Senpai. I guess hadn't really clicked that Valorant was there. Valorant had thrown some spells out from the bush. The Chaos Senpai just didn't seem to notice, didn't seem to be aware of the jungler's presence. Otherwise, you've got to imagine that Fate Seal would not have been thrown down. And so not only do you lose the flash, you use the teleport and your life, but you also lose the ultimate on top of it as well. Chaos Senpai building a bit of a short sword collection up in the top side right now.
Yeah, he's just having a nice time. Yone has 2 blades, he's going to pick up 4 more. It's just a very nice collection that's starting to build. But as it stands, damn, this Qiyana's having an insane impact across the map, right? I would have liked to see that kill go over to the Camille, perhaps give her a little bit of laning power against the Yone. You're seeing that she is playing a little bit safer right now, not really daring to go up for those CS. Giving a kill over definitely could have alleviated this issue, mayhaps have given the Camille a little bit more agency to get herself ahead. But right now, with the 3-1 and 0, this Qiyana is where I'm going to be looking towards to make things happen across this map.
Yeah, I think Bucci won't be too disappointed about that lack of kill. Of course, as you mentioned, would have been nice to maybe allocate, spread some of the love, spread some of the gold around the team as well, but as long as Vlaran can still make those plays, with the ultimate coming up soon, there's another play to be made shortly by the Verax jungler, and where will we see it? Looks like bot side is where it's going to be, as that is where Vlaran currently finds themselves, on the bot side of the map.
Yeah, and just take a look at the vision line that Verax have gotten for themselves right around the dragon. In fact, I think they've actually started it up. If we can go look at Qiyana, this is basically uncounterable, right? For the side of Invulnerables, they haven't invested the time and resources to put down a ward line there. They don't even have the crab. This is just going to be a completely free dragon for the side of Verax. A very nice setup and a very nice execution coming through. They get it completely free. Well, maybe not free since Finry's taking the Rift Herald, but at this point, take a look at all the lanes where all the positions are. Unless you're giving it up towards the top lane, it's very difficult to capitalize on this Herald.
Yeah, that's interesting actually, because usually you just think, you know, it's a straight trade from the Dragon to the Rift Herald. You think both teams going to be relatively happy with the trade, but sometimes that Rift Herald a lot harder to use than others. Look at where Vlaran has found themselves right now. I think they must have walked over a ward to get here, but here comes the Realm Warp as well. Vossen just standing still, intimidating from behind. Now they'll go for the fight. Bullet time coming through. That's already Zimba taken down and Luna following immediately thereafter. Loftitian trying to get there with the Weaver's Wall, but it's too little and too late. And Verax pick up 2 clean kills with the bot lane tower dive. Now Finry looking to respond in kind up on the top side of the map and kicks Buki away to safety. Bucci able to stay alive. Finry will try and continue that fight up on the top side. But now Vlaran is heading there. Post-haste, there's going to be a teleport from Vossen. I think Bucci's going to be fine.
Right, it's going to be a teleport invested up towards the top side, which dissuades this play, but that is a complete and utter obliteration for the side of Invulnerables Esports. We thought they were the ones who were going to go bot lane level 6. It turns out Verax just takes that book and turns it completely on its head. They are the ones who go bot side with the Realm Warp, with the Qiyana, who's now 4-1-1, and is just a complete and utter shellacking Invulnerables Esports. They're looking pretty damn vulnerable right now.
Absolutely. Full item and a half already completed for Vlaran at this stage of the game. You already have the Yomu's Ghostblade. No one else has a full item of any kind unless you're counting tier 2 boots, and I wouldn't. So that just shows you how far ahead Vlaran is at this stage of the game. And on a pick like Qiyana, when you get ahead, you start really crushing people as long as you make sure you get those engagements done at the right time. So there's still some execution for Vlaran. It's not like the game is just won here by the jungler already, but with 6 kills to 1, 4 of those kills going over to the Qiyana, you've got to be feeling very, very good if you're a Verax fan.
Yeah, and I would wager that his execution has been pretty good so far already, and I'm basically eating my words at this point, right? Credit where credit is due. Let's take a look at what Qiyana is building, right? That's a Yomu's Ghostblade coming in. That's not even a mythic item. I really like this decision, even though you're putting your first mythic item behind. At this point, you're so far in the game that one completed item just completely outweighs the rest on Invulnerables. And I think this might be desperation. They're going bot.
Peter going to try and flash away. Doug Unique forced to use the cleanse and to try and escape now. There's the bullet time coming back through, and Finry's already taken low. Bushi is here to pick up Zimba, and that's going to be the 3rd kill of the fight when it does happen. There it is, as Vossen can step forward onto Luna. Luna going to stay alive. Vlaran, though, with the tanking from Vossen, allowing Vlaran to come through the tower unscathed and to pick up another kill onto Luna. Only Chaos Senpai survives, and the only reason for that is because he was topside the whole time.
Oh my word, how is this allowed? Verax is so damn clean in this early game. It was a bit of desperation coming through from Invulnerables to look for that play. They go and invest all their damage on Peter, who just says, alright, I'm going golden now and you're all gonna die. The rest of their team shows up and it is just it's just a complete wipeout of Invulnerables. 1-10 is the scoreline right now. It's looking dire for this blue team roster.
Yeah, and when there was that fight bot side, you know, Vossen understanding what their role was in that fight, to stand still, to accept the tower aggro, to allow Vlaren to run straight through so that they could get the extra kill onto Luna. That's just the level of teamwork that Verax has been showing in this game so far, and it really is a great look on them. Now we will see the Rift Herald popped up on the top side. It's not even going to get a charge off though, you know. Not a single plate, not anything from this Rift Herald. It takes down one melee minion.
This is frankly painful to watch if you're in Invulnerables, right? At this point, this roster is well, let's go back to the draft, right? They put themselves on a timer. Basically, it really required a lot of confidence and a lot of teamwork, basically, to make things work. When you pick the Lee Sin, you pick the Lucian, you're saying we want to fight, we want to win this early game. We are out of the early game right now. It's 14 minutes. We're cresting 15. And it's 10 kills to the side of Verax. They've completely shut the door in Invulnerables' face, and they are looking so damn clean going into this mid-game. It's a joy to watch.
Absolutely, a joy to watch. You can say that again. Verax 10 kills to 1, as we are not even 15 minutes into this game. Here is the star of the show, Vlaren, so far on that Qiyana, but everyone has played their part admirably on this Verax roster. Going into this game, Invulnerables Esports were 1-0 after a victory against Voss Esports in the first week of gameplay, as Bucci and Kale Senpai just going to be scrapping it out on the top side a little bit. And Verax was 0-1. It doesn't feel like that's the way it's been in this game so far, as Vossen might have got a little bit overconfident, trying to bite off a little bit more than he can chew. And the shutdown comes through, Kale Senpai sealing the fate. Their second kill of the game going over to Invulnerables Esports, but Verax not really caught napping because they can go straight to this dragon.
Yeah, I think you take this right. It's a rise. He'll scale eventually. You don't really need him to be online just yet. It's going to be Tim taken away. Oh, Uchi might have been in a bit of issue, but just gets out cleanly. It's going to be the dragon already going on to the side of Verax. Once again, 2-0 so far. They are looking once again very comfortable. This turret should be falling as well. Not sure if anyone's here to answer. Even the Qiyana's here to cover. They are looking so damn good macro-wise.
Now Vlaren and Peter, they can even force Luna and Zimba away from their tower. That tower not offering much safety at this stage. It's about to fall down. Zimba trying to get on to Dark Uni-Q here. They're just going to turn it straight back on. There's the second bandage shot. Good! Curse of the sad mummy there, and there's one kill already picked up. Teleport came in behind for Chaos Senpai as well. But here comes Vossen, pumping out the damage at the front side of the fight. Will be shut down in the end by Finri, who picks up that kill. Now Peter's the next one in trouble. Dark Uni-Q just doesn't have enough damage here for Verax, or do they? Forcing the flash out of Chaos Senpai rather than eating the whole of that bullet time. And with that, the fight just about goes in favor of Invulnerables. So, a little bit of a shining light for them there.
Yeah, absolutely. There may have been just a little tiny bit of overconfidence coming through from Verax, but it was a very good answer coming through from Invulnerables, right? They fight under the turret. Sure, the turret's gone now, but the TP coming in from the Yon, who, if you recall, was basically left in the side lane to farm over and over again for the past 2 or 3 fights in the early game, is basically online now in the mid game with the completed mythic item, comes down to the bot lane, turns that fight around, and it is just going to give them, like you said, a bit of a silver lining now. The gold deficit's now only about 2k, so this Yone, if he's able to continue stepping up like this, it might be something that Verax have to pay attention to really shut down.
And now you can see already the difference in terms of just the ability for Invulnerables to push themselves onto the map, to secure vision. Vossen is down here on the bot side, doesn't have teleport, does have the second tier Realm Warp. That's not going to get him all the way up to the top side here, so second Rift Herald of the game going to be going over to Invulnerables. Hopefully for them, they can make better use of it than they did with the first, but it's not the world's best objective, but, you know, the fact that they can still take it when they were 10-1 at 15 minutes, that's encouraging for them.
You are absolutely happy right now if you're an Invulnerables fan, right? If you're a fan of them, you are smiling your way all the way to the bank. High successful because they managed to get basically, I think it was 5 shutdown goals, including the huge one on Qiyana at that point. So they are looking pretty healthy with the goal injection right now. And not to mention, you brought up the point of perhaps, you know, using up that Herald in a more constructive manner than the first one. They are absolutely able to do this now because the tempo advantage is well and truly in their pocket. Sure, they might not have the damage all that much to counter Verax, and you know, Verax might still win a 5v5 fight just because the Qiyana is there online with her mythic item now. But what Invulnerables wants to do on this map is completely up to them, because the tempo advantage, again, is in their favor.
Yeah, Varen, having picked up that Gore Drinker alongside the Yomu's Ghostblade and the Ionian Boots of Lucidity, in a strong position right now is the Qiyana, but hasn't been able to find anything in the last few minutes in this game. Was really running riot until about the 16-minute mark. Since then, a little bit quiet for Varen and for Verax as a whole, as they pump the brakes just a little bit here. No major objectives up and available on the map or anything like that, so both teams just farming up for the next minutes or so at least.
Yeah, if you want to talk about another silver lining for the side of Invulnerables, right? This Misfortune, we said in Champ Select, I really want to see Verax get this MF a hit. She's had some nice bullet times. Obviously, she didn't have enough damage to chew through the shield of Chaos Senpai earlier in that bot lane scuffle, but this game really turned around. But right now, 1-0 and 6, that's not what you really want to see. This is definitely counterable. Yolution, sure, he's 1-3-1, but as we approach the mid game, this champion can still get a hit. Not the ideal position to be in right now, but not entirely out of the fight just.
And the Kraken Slayer is completed with that last Whisper, so should be pumping out at least a decent amount of damage. As the next dragon is spawning in 30 seconds, both teams are well aware of it, and they're looking to try and find a way to secure vision in the area.
Yep, it's going to be Verax, I believe, with the control ward advantage. One just got taken out in the backside for the side of Invulnerable, so it looks like they are getting a little bit more priority. I like this from Verax. They use their inside track to get more damage, get more priority into this bot lane, force Invulnerables to come through and answer, and they might get some decent damage as well for their trouble.
Yeah, chunking Finri down to half HP. That's the jungler just before the objective spawns. So Finri going to feel a little bit more recalcitrant if they want to try and get priority over the Dragon Pit. They're going to try and force the priority, though, by dumping the Rift Herald down in the middle lane, and we have a pause. So, at this point right now, with the dragon spawning, you can see roughly where everyone is on the map, more or less. Verax seem to me like they're in a better position to take this dragon. Is this Rift Herald going to do enough to force their attentions back in that direction?
So just take a look at where Verax is, right? They're already pathing towards the bot side. I think that mid lane turret is healthy enough, just about full health actually, to tank this Herald, right? Especially with the Herald being put there at that position at this time. It is so early because Verax, they haven't committed to the river just yet, so they are able to just walk it, clear this Herald. But they want to fight.
Dark Uni Q forced to use the stopwatch, but that might just have bought enough time able to flash away from Loftition. And with that, Verax prevent the fight from going too much further as we get a little bit of a freeze frame, action freeze frame. Both teams
getting a replay
there. Everyone still alive. We'll see the exact replay here. There's the Fate Seal coming through, as we saw it already. There is that stopwatch. Yeah, Herald is going to be taken down, and now Finri and Vlaren, the two junglers, find each other in the river. Finri actually looking to try and take the fight to Vlaren, but it's just going to get absolutely pummeled into the wall by the Supreme Display of Talent. Now, Chaos Senpai trying to get into the fight onto Vossen. Vossen taken low, but not taken down. Peter caught in a little bit of no man's land. That'll be a kill over to Loftition. Vlaren flashing away due to the Ignite going down onto the jungler. Verax, they've all got blinking red health bars right now, but many members of Invulnerables could say the same. Chaos Senpai with the double knock-up! And that's the double kill coming through for the Yone. And that got me very excited. That's the dragon over to Invulnerables.
Chaos Senpai being the MVP of that fight, showing up saying, I want this dragon, I want it right now, right? That play started off just off a misplay coming through from the side of Invulnerables, placing down that Rift Herald just a little bit too early before Verax had really committed to taking the dragon. They recognize that for the side of Invulnerables, right? They go for the fight. They sort of lose that fight, sort of teetering on the edge of losing that fight, right? Until Chaos Senpai shows up on this Yone, shows up in this game basically, 3-1 and 2. Now this Yone is huge, turns the fight around, gives Invulnerable the dragon, and most importantly, prevents them from going on to Soul Point.
So now, in this situation with Invulnerables really coming back into this game, they have a gold advantage. That was not something I expected to be saying about them when they were down 10 kills to 1 at the 15-minute mark. Fantastic comeback in this game by this team. Chaos Senpai, after a very tilting play earlier on, has not died since and is now 3-1 and 2. Positive scoreline, positive mentality thus far in this game. Doing a fantastic job on that Yone, particularly at the end of that last fight. It's still very close. I don't want to give the impression that Invulnerables are somehow massively in the lead now. but they are definitely back left.
Yeah, they are definitely playing very comfortably right now. I liked that after a bit of desperation earlier, we are going to go for a fight, never mind.
Optician caught out. They will use the Everfrost, put a lot of damage down to Vlaren, but Vlaren will secure that kill. Meanwhile, Fate Sealed on the bottom side, looking to try and trade it onto Voss and Chaos Senpai. Can't find the knockup, but does find the kill somehow, and that is now 1-for-1 across the map. The fight might not be over here because Finry wants to try and catch out Peter. Peter realizes and walks a more sensible direction.
This Yone is basically putting his team on his back and saying, I've got this. Let's go, right? He's this game is basically on its head, right? We said Verax might play the 1-4. It turns out, no, Invulnerables, they want to play the 1-4 now. And this Yone is looking like a perfect vessel for them to be able to execute this play, right? But at this point, I echo your sentiment about, you know, Invulnerables perhaps not being just out of the woods just yet. Obviously, the scaling is still very much in Verax's favor, right? Invulnerables are still very much on a timer. This Lucian has basically given a second chance at life, right, by his Yone. Still able to pop off just, but if this continues going in this way, right, if Verax is able to just weather this storm and perhaps wait until the 30-35 minute mark, the scaling goes back in their favor, right? If the game state stays the same, Verax can still very well come back into this game just based on the time.
Yeah, you mentioned back in Champs, like when I asked you what Verax needed to do with his team composition, you said they needed to get the Misfortune ahead and then one of the solo laners. What happened was they got their jungler very, very far ahead. Is that looking like a mistake, allocating that much of the gold onto Vlaren? Could they have done anything more to try and share that wealth around? And if they had, do you think they'd be in a better situation right now?
I'm going to risk answering that question and sounding like a complete and utter idiot because I heard absolutely none of it. Thank you, Discord. Okay. But I think, you know, going into this game, right? Yes, one of their solo laners had to get a hit as well as the Misfortune. None of that has happened so far, and when we saw the Qiyana get a hit, sure, Qiyana can take over in early game if she's able to continue snowballing that. Basically, if she doesn't get shut down, she can basically take off the game. That is not what we saw, right? So we saw Qiyana get shut down. That's a lot of threat alleviated, a lot of gold injected to the side of Invulnerables. And she was unable to translate her advantage into any of her solo laners either, which I think is the bigger issue here. Because now if you leave this Camille in the side lane, you leave this Ryze in the side lane like we already saw, Yone's just gonna show up and say, this is my lane, what are you doing here? And kill you, right? So it's gonna take a while. Sure, they still have scaling on the side of Verax, but as it stands, it's very difficult for them to play the 1-4.
Alright, so the power of that Yone, specifically that being the champion that's ahead, not something I would have thought about, but as you mentioned it makes perfect sense. You know, that will really stuff any sort of split-pushing attempt that Verax might want to have here. And, yeah, puts a limitation on the pattern of their gameplay in this game. Their game plan cannot be executed in the way they would like right now. Things are going much less to plan than they were just 10 minutes ago. Loftition with a speculative Everfrost over the wall, to be generous. Not really finding anything on that occasion. Verax are going to push in the middle lane. And now heading back down towards the Dragon. The Dragon will be spawning in 23 seconds. Chaos Senpai looks to start the fight onto Bucci, who's able to escape. Lunar just about dodging out from the Winter's Bite. Finry doesn't manage to land the Sonic Wave. There's a whole lot of skill shots hitting a whole lot of nothing right now. And Verax will take position in the Dragon Pit.
I will want to point out that something that we haven't talked about is this Talia pick. I think was really good coming in against the Verax composition, because if you think about it, what are Verax's main sources of engage, right? Dashes to go into Invulnerables. If that work ground comes down, it's very difficult for Verax to engage. But enough of that, because we are seeing the Dragon being started up. It's going to trade hands right now. It's Invulnerables on board.
Verax is basically giving it back over to them. Chaos Senpai trying to get in there with the Fate Seal, but not really finding as much as they would like. Curse of the Sand Mummy is big, but so is the returning bullet time. Lunar is untouched and bumping out the damage, dashing over the wall, but dashing into three members, it gets taken down. It's still very close, but Vossen, he has so much HP right now. It's a straight fight between the mid laners, a duel between Noctician and Vossen. Vossen breaking some ankles down there. Zimber going to be taken down by Bucci up on the top side, and Vossen wins the battle of the mid lane. And once again, Verax regain control of the game, and they will take their third dragon of this one.
it's a very tentative regainment, if that's sort of a word, that Verax have found themselves in. They put themselves towards Soul Point. It's going to be difficult for Invulnerables to answer that, and I think that fight really came down to a bit of mispositioning, right? Especially with the Lucian jumping over the wall. That's basically your consistent source of damage gone, as well as Chaos Senpai just dying early, right? Once that happened, it was basically Verax's chance, right, with their high health bars to turn it around, and once they got the kill on Lucian, it was basically over for them. They pick up the rest of the kills, they get the dragon, and once again, they find themselves in the driver's seat. Let's see if they can hold on to it this time.
So, we have Bucci up on the top side. We have all of Verax now heading towards the Baron pit. 28 minutes into the game, Baron becoming a very realistic threat for both of these teams. Both need to make sure they're aware of what's going on the top side of the map. They need to try and get vision in that pit. And if too many members of the enemy team go missing for too long, they're going to have to realize that there might be something going on up there. For now, neither team seems terribly interested, as we have a temporary slight lull state in this one, but there's been wall-to-wall action until this point, more than a kill a minute thus far, so I don't think we can have too much to complain about. It's Verax who currently lead the way on gold, but only just. Yomu's popped, Blaren looking to try and get a fight on the top side. Loftician does manage to get the Weaver's Wall. Not the best Weaver's Wall I've ever seen, but it does do enough to prevent Bucci and Blaren from getting anything done.
Well, so you have to be very careful if you use your Weaver's Wall to get out with Laren around, right? Supreme Display of Talent can obviously stun you against your own wall, and what we are seeing here, right, is the duality of how Verax have been playing this macro game, right? They focus a lot of their vision towards the Dragon Pit. The point you brought up where, you know, at any point Invulnerables could really just start up the Baron, I really like that because, you know, with the Lucian, with the Yone, they can really take down this big purple worm quite quickly. And now Verax, look at them basically starting to transition their vision line towards his top side. They recognize the threat, and they are now basically how would you say this? Expanding their vision profile perhaps towards including this side of the map as well. They still have a very strong line towards the bot side. You can see there are 2 control wards over the Dragon Pit, so they are in a very safe position. Overall, Invulnerables have had the weaker vision game, but they've compensated with basically, you know, being the they've compensated with sending their members to be first on the objective every single time.
Right now, it's still just a bit tentative from both teams. We saw this in the last game, the first game of the day, earlier on between Olympus Darkside and Alpha Pack Esports. There were some times in the middle game where both teams seemed scared to pull the trigger on anything. There was a lack of decision-making ability, perhaps, from some of the players. And maybe that's what we're starting to see again here. Vision being traded back and forth and back and forth. But what is that really going to bring you unless you pull the trigger on the Baron or do something with all that vision control? Blaren, ooh, this could be big. Vossen is baiting here, and Blaren goes in. It doesn't manage to find anyone. Doesn't find a single soul with the ultimate, and now that could mean that Verax are going to be in danger. Finry can't quite secure the kill, so that will be traded over. Bucci picking that one up. Peter tanking up so much damage with the unbreakable shield on the bot side means that the fights will fizzle out. But that could have been a disaster from that ult from Blaren.
Yeah, Blaren, we had a lot of faith in you. That is not the ult that we want to see you in order to win the game, right? But this is going to give the side of Invulnerables Esports a little bit more priority around the Baron. Perhaps they can begin moving up that... Well, what am I saying? They've already basically moved up their vision line. That's basically what we were fighting over, right? You can see the wards in the top side of Verax's jungle. They are clearing it out now, but for a moment, this top side of the map was completely lit up for the side of Invulnerables, right? They are playing pretty well. They're not sort of warding the objective so much as they are warding the enemy's jungle, which is a little bit more proactive and really what I like to see. But a few misplays coming through that fight will just about give Invulnerables a little bit more of a tempo lead now, but overall nothing much coming through until I think when when the dragon comes up. That's when I think we'll see a fight.
40 seconds is when we will see the third mountain dragon of the game, the 5th dragon total, and it could be the 4th dragon that Verax will pick up. If they do so, they will secure that mountain soul, but right now they are not the ones with control of the river. They actually look like they're just going to cede it. They're going to try and trade it for the Baron, maybe.
Yeah, this is definitely a valid course of action right now. You are on Dragon Soul, giving one over to the enemy team. Sure, it puts them on 2, but it doesn't matter. The Realm Warp goes on to the Baron. They're just going to start it up.
Yeah, Dark Ume-Ezeoke couldn't get in there, though. That's a lot of their damage. We'll see as they start it up right now. Peter trying to play Guardian Duty. They're not taking it low enough, quick enough, and Bucci goes in for the fight instead. Bullet time ripping through, but not doing a huge amount of damage. Peter going very, very low. Fidry picked up the first kill of the fight. It's going to be Loftition now pumping out the damage. And oh, another fantastic Fate Sealed. Secures a triple kill for Luna. And now it's just Bucci left alive. Bucci going to try and go down towards the dragon. They're going to be shadowed all the way there by Chaos Senpai. And with that, that is Invulnerables Esports re-seizing control of the game and taking the Baron as well.
Yep, let's flip and go. I mean, we are finally seeing the Lucian come online there, picking up the triple kill in that fight alongside Chaos Senpai. Finally, this Yone isn't alone anymore, and it was Verax with a bit of a misplay, right? They are thinking that they have the damage. They went up towards the Baron, right? But they didn't have the cohesive unit to be able to go in and, you know, perhaps turn the fight in their favor. It was a little bit split, it was a little bit messy, but overall, Invulnerables, they get the damage down, they get the fight in their favor, and now the Lucian is finally online. Let's see what they are able to do.
Yeah, now what do they want to do? What is the situation that they need to be looking for right now at this stage of the game? Are they just barreling down mid? Are they sending Chaos Senpai to the bot side to try and push in with that really strong solo lane? What's the idea right now for Invulnerables?
Well, at this point, I think you are able to just play the 1-4. Sure, it was your enemy's win condition, but at this point, it might as well be yours, right? Take a look at Chaos Senpai. He's level 18 on this Yone. 5-2 and 5, 279 CS. That's what, 30 more than Camille?
Root lands, Blaren in a lot of danger, but actually manages to get a decent ultimate off, but there's no support from the rest of the team, and Loftition finds a critical pick onto the player that has been the star member of Verax in this game. Has fallen off the boil lately, though, and that is part of what's allowing Invulnerables back into this one. Finry with Bucci. Finry goes in, and Finry might have bitten off way too much there. Forced to use a stopwatch, but that's actually going to be Bucci getting taken down over the wall by Loftition, just about staying alive. Dark Ume-Ezeoke trying to pump out the damage. Finry also living on a sliver of health. Same story there for Loftition, and everyone manages to survive just about. That was a whole lot of close encounters with the Grim Reaper there.
How the hell is Invulnerable still alive? I mean, they're diving into the enemy base. They just walk out completely, well, not completely, but basically unscathed, right? Everybody gets to go home. They get to buy, and there's just a lot of pressure that they are exerting onto the side of Verax. They're basically daring the roster of Verax to say, alright, we're going to walk up. We are going to force you to make mistakes, and then we're going to capitalize on their mistakes. And damn, Invulnerables have been really good at capitalizing on mistakes this game. The first one, most of all, is that Blaren, sure, has had a pretty good showing on this Qiyana, but at this point, this threat has basically fizzled out, right? You're not really looking at Qiyana to win this game for the side of Verax, but then the question now becomes, who's gonna do it, right? Your eyes obviously fall towards the Rise. Now 5, 6, and 6, sure, he is a late game threat. You said that he was able to play this Rise, pilot this Rise very well, but we're just not seeing it come through so far. We saw a few good Realm Warps to get a few good ganks, but overall, it has just been Invulnerables at every turn, just stomping him into the ground, right?
Yeah, and I mean, both Bucci and Dark Ume-Ezeoke, they've not really been massive factors in this game either. 3, 1, and 6 on the Camille looks nice, but there have been few occasions where I felt like something that Bucci has done has really had a massive impact on a specific fight or anything like that. So, I don't know. For Verax, they do have a couple more fights in them. It's still a close game. They are far from down and out in this one. They're about 6,000 gold behind right now, and the pressure is coming with the onslaught from Invulnerables onto the inhibitor tower.
Absolutely, and now the silver lining is getting a little bit obscured by the clouds up there because, again, your Lucian is a hit, your Yone's a hit, this becomes a 2-threat team. I'm not entirely sure if Invulnerables needs any more threats at this point, right? Sure, Verax, they're doing a pretty good job of just hunkering down and defending their base, but sooner or later they're going to have to come out of it either to fight for the Dragon or to fight for the Baron. Or hell, they may even just take enough chunk damage where these just die, but Boston try to go in, they catch Lucian.
Luna did get rooted up by the Realm, the Realm Prison there, but actually just going to have to try and turn it around onto Peter. Ooh, good flash away from the bandage shots. Loftition wanting to continue the fight, and there's no flash left for Peter. Will put up yet another unbreakable shield, and once again, Peter gets out alive as a result. Here's Bucci up on the bot side of the map. Chaos Senpai comes though, and that means that Bucci can no longer stay with any safety in the bottom lane.
Yeah, this means the play resets, right? And basically what we're going to see is Invulnerables go back to base. You're going to get a few buys. Take a look. It's already going to be the Rabadon's Death Cap coming through from Talia. You said Talia couldn't take over a game all that well. I bet you with this Rabadon's Death Cap, she's doing a ton of damage. Sure, not the flashiest scoreline. She's always been a very good backbone for her team, though. And now Baron over the wall.
Oh, actually, they popped the Blast Cone. Finry looking to try and get over there, but just hops back out to the safety of their team. And one thing I'm noticing right now, Vlaren level 15. Compared to most of the players on the enemy team, you know, only Zimba is below that. Zimba's at 14. Everyone else is 16, 17, or 18 on the side of Invulnerables. That level differential, despite the fact that Vlaren has had so much gold in this game, the XP differential is definitely not helping at this stage.
Yeah, it's like the gold just basically vanished into thin air. That might be a little bit harsh, right? Vlaren has had a decent impact on this game up until the point where they sort of went a little bit overconfident, greeded for a little bit too much, and really just, you know, I don't want to say throw the game because that is taking credit away from Invulnerables. It was a really good response. And now, Vlaren on site is just gone.
Yeah.
Invulnerables Esports, they get in, they get out. Let's see if Verax can find an answer. It looks like they can't.
No, they hardly even wanted to by the look of things. Baron Nashor will spawn in just 17 seconds time. You've got to imagine Invulnerables have definitely got that clocked. They'll know all about that. And I don't think there's any way Verax are going to be able to pull the wool and sneak that one from under their noses.
We're still seeing a decent, like, sneaky vision come through from Verax, which I think is a good positive that we can still point to. Take a look at that control ward that's still at the back of Baron, right? You've basically been in your base the entire game. Having that control ward there is no small feat, so they are still playing the vision game relatively well. It's gonna come down to whether or not they will be able to sort of contest for the objectives that really matters, right?
Right now, I'm not sure how strong they feel, how willing they feel to try and take those contests right now. You can see the vision being choked away slowly by Invulnerables. They go into the Baron pit. You're going to have to take out that control ward at some point. Finally, they will do so, and it's already down. Look how quickly they take down these objectives, throwing down the Supreme Display of Talent, and it doesn't hit a soul. Blue team picking up Baron Nashor. No smite even needed. He'll just dip on out of there. Verax tried to be there. They weren't far away, but they just couldn't do anything.
Yeah, it was just Invulnerables basically taking it too fast, and Chaos Senpai there being a very, very difficult wall to get past in that jungle. So not entirely the place you want to be in if you're Verax, but they do have a little bit of time here. They are pushing up towards the second tier tower, but with the rest of the Invulnerables back on the map, they have completely no answer to take it down.
At this point, how tough is it from a mental standpoint, if you're Verax right now, to have known how much of a lead you had early on, and to be very much under pressure, behind in this game at this stage? How much of a toll does that take on you mentally? For the players, you know, to know that they've thrown that all away, surely they've just got to feel that momentum is completely against them.
You turn into a robot again, but I think I got it this time.
Okay.
I think, you know, if you are on the side of Verax right now, if you have a in-game leader, right, and you're saying, okay, we need to calm down, they are still on a timer, sure, we got an early lead, we sort of threw it, yeah, but we can still win this game. Sure, if they do win this game, we're going to be here for another 20 minutes, but they do still have an avenue back in if this Rise and this Camille really step up with their scaling. It's a very tough hill to climb right now. Mentally, it probably isn't that good to know, you know, like they've threw that lead, but it still isn't completely insurmountable just yet, right?
Ichi looking to try and catch out Finry here. Finry gets the kickoff, but will be forced into the resurrection. But look at the rest of their team. Invulnerables just going straight for the jugular here. Finry is taken down. Bucci will be dissuading them from taking down the Nexus Towers as well. And actually, that's big. Very, very big damage coming through. Zimba gets taken down. It's very, very close thus far in the fight. Bucci still leading the way. Heard that I was saying that they hadn't had impact earlier on, and now they're finding all kinds of impact on this Camille. Luna had to flash away there. Dark Uni-Q trying to step forward now, flashing in. But this gets absolutely blown up, and the return does come through from Bucci. That's probably worthwhile. It's Vossen and Bucci versus Chaos Senpai, and I think that both teams are just going to sit back after that one.
Alright, the timer is sort of extending. We might actually be here for another 20 minutes. I was gearing up to praise Dark Uni-Q for having a good showing. We saw Lonar really show up on this Ezreal earlier on in the mid game. We saw that come through from the Misfortune, having a really impactful bullet time and basically not being answered from the side of Invulnerables. That's why they lost that fight. But when they went into the jungle and Laura just completely turned it around and got that kill, it looked like, Invulnerables maybe were able to turn it back around in their favor. Camille shutting that door in their face and sort of extending the time that Verax have to live. And this is absolutely what they need, right? That looked like a really sketchy fight, but they managed to turn it around. Now, without Baron anymore on the side of Invulnerables, it's going to be slightly easier for Verax to get back on the map.
Yeah, Elder Dragon. That's going to be the next one. Oh, sorry, not Elder Dragon. That's going to be the Dragon Soul for whichever team takes it. Yeah, 6 dragons having gone down the 7th. And of course, that will be the 5th Mountain Dragon of this game. 20 seconds before it spawns. We've already seen how quickly they can blow up. Invulnerables can blow up objectives. Peter threatening to get blown up themselves here. Very, very low health bar already before the fight can even begin. Boston might have been caught out here. Peter tries to jump on the blade and just about manages to do so. Blaren putting some damage down into the fight. There is Dark Unity putting out the damage. Luna onto the backlines and Luna's pumping it out there. That's 2. And Luna's going to get 3rd now. Bucci shuts him down in the end. Blaren tries to flash away. Manages to flash away. It's Bucci and Blaren. Fate sealed. Didn't quite find Bucci, who's still just about alive in this fight. Gets knocked up on the backside and forced into the resurrection from the Guardian Angel. And there's no one there to help. So the shutdown comes through for Chaos Senpai. Blaren is still alive.
Ooh, this is very sketchy. Vlaret going for a little bit more, taking the Skull Crab before backing into base, but I'm not sure if they are able to defend this, right? It's great that, Bucci killed Lonar. That's your AD carry gone from the side of Invulnerables, and it may very well have saved this game if Vlaret is able to hold on to it. But Chaos Senpai and Finley, they are going for the turrets. They really want to just end it, and they might just be able to promise back on the map. What is he able to do against the Yone? I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. It might just be game, and as we pause, I think it might be, yeah.
Yeah, that's game. Chaos Senpai was able to finish off that Nexus there. Peter, a brave effort, but there were still 9 seconds on any other member of Verax, so Peter could not delay the game for that much time, unfortunately. And what a very interesting game between these two teams. In the end, it's Invulnerables Esports who moved themselves to 2-0, 0-2 now for Verax, and I did not think I was going to be saying that after the way the early game went.
Yeah, Invulnerables Esports, they were really given a second lease on life from Chaos Senpai really stepping up on this Yone in that mid-game. It was just absolutely insane to see him cover for the rest of his team when everybody was like, 1-4, 1-5 on the rest of that roster. That was a huge effort, and we cannot take credit away from him. He's my absolute MVP on the day. But it was really just, Invulnerables playing to their win condition a little bit more. I'm not sure if you can see the stats, but it is Lucian with the most damage, 31,830 at the end of that game. We saw him dealing out tons and tons of damage once he was really able to get online. And the fact of the matter is that Verax, they had a really strong showing on Qiyana, but it wasn't enough. That lead wasn't transferred to everybody else. And at the end of the day, if you don't play to your win condition, you don't deserve to win.